Our first speaker is Dr. Steve Gilbert. Stephen Gilbert is the director of the Institute of Neurotoxicology and Neurological Disorders in Seattle and an affiliate professor at the Department of Environmental and Occupational Health Sciences at the University of Washington. His book, A Small Dose of Toxicology, The Health Effects of Common Chemicals, was published in 2004, and the second edition is now available for free as an ebook. He is a former president of Washington Physicians for Social Responsibility and serves on the National PSR Board of Directors. Steve Gilbert.
Thank you, everybody. It's really great to see a crowd out tonight, even in the rain. You all successfully dodged the rain outside there. So it's my great privilege here to give a little kickoff talk and talk a little bit more about Particles on the Wall and its inception. And I think the project has really grown. I'll try to demonstrate a little bit of that. But I want to start off by just pointing out the co-founders and curators, Diane Dickman and Nancy Dickman. You just want to raise your hands. So very important. And the staff here, Daniel Noonan, we just met. Danny is great. And we have previous and contributing staff, Whitney Garrett. You'll see some of her pictures, and she also is a poet. Edil Levitas, Edil, right there. She did a great job getting Particles on the Wall organized and off the ground for the first few times. And Nick Thorpe, who's escaped to Hawaii. I don't know what he was thinking. And we also want to thank Gabe Williams for the logo, the Particles on the Wall logo up there. And just to reemphasize, this was a project partly funded by the Department of Ecology and my nonprofit INND. And we have a website called Whamneck, the Washington Nuclear Museum and Education Center, that we've tried to provide a space to put up various things about it, from interviews with people to facts and figures. And I wanted to mention Bill Withrow. He was one of the founders of this exhibit. It was actually over a couple beers one day with Nancy and me, and Diane came in shortly after that. We talked about what to do and how do we actualize the arts and sciences and bring the arts and sciences together. My background's in toxicology. I'm not an artist guy, but I'm very interested in how we bring together the science. How do we reach out to people in different ways? I think we do a great job with science, and we know how to learn more and more about less and less. And we've figured that out. We know how to drill down. The problem is we don't tie this stuff together. We don't connect the dots. I think visual arts, poetry helps us incorporate this into our real thinking. But Bill was fantastic. He unfortunately passed away in 2009. And you can see a couple of books there, Men at Work, Downwind, Downriver. And unfortunately, we don't have time to get into all that, but he was a great guy. And I always loved that particles and waves shimmered over the river's stones. So we've dedicated this Particles on the Wall to Bill. Particles on the Wall is actually a book also. It's a free ebook you can download from particlesonthewall.org. The second edition will probably be out late April, early May. It will be a second edition where we'll incorporate a lot of the new work that's at the library here. But I urge you to take a look at that book, sort of check it out. You can see some of the pieces, both visual art and some of the poetry. And as Danny was saying, Particles on the Wall, the real effort was an interdisciplinary exhibit connecting science and art. So we really wanted to tie the science and art together and have the science help explain some of the art and the art help explain some of the science. And we focused on Hanford because there's a lot of interesting art around Hanford, and it was also where we had some funding. Always important. But it's also, Washington State has a huge history related to nuclear issues. The broader title is Uniting the Arts and Sciences to Forge a More Healthy and Peaceful World. And we've had various projects, and Particles on the Wall was our first real effort to actualize that. This is where the exhibit's been, and I'm going to show a couple slides from those. We started off in Cafe Allegro here at the University District, been in the Richland Library, the Imperial Cafe in Spokane. WPSR Dinner had some of it there. Capitol Theater, exhibit in Olympia. We actually had Department of Ecology down in Lacey, and we've had it at the Oldegard Library at the University, and now we're looking for the next. We're actually, we're really proud of the fact that we're actually getting people asking to have the exhibit. So we're working with Central Washington University and some people down in Vancouver and Oregon right now, negotiating with them. So it's amazing how the exhibit has really caught fire in some ways. This is a picture of Hanford, the overall view of it. So I just want to point out three things here. Washington State's got enormous history in the nuclear issue. Hanford is one of them. They had all their 9 nuclear reactors around the edges there of the Columbia River that generated plutonium. So these are reactors just built only to generate plutonium. This I just want to mention briefly is the Energy Northwest nuclear power reactor. So also don't know, there's a nuclear power reactor in the Hanford Reservation area. And it's built in 1964. It's an old style boiling water reactor, the same type of reactor that was at Fukushima. So I think should everybody pause for thought. They're not going to hit by a tsunami out there, but if there was a major earthquake, cut the power to that plant, how long can that plant survive without power and damage to their backup equipment? Because they have enormous quantities of stored irradiated fuel rods at that facility that are not being dry cast. So that's one of the big problems, is what to do with waste. And there's also an effort there seeking relicensing. As you can see, built in '64, they're getting a little bit old, and they want to license the plant for another 20 years. So I think that's also pause for thought. And I also want to remind people that Bangor Submarine Base is 20 miles from where we sit, has one of the largest concentrations of nuclear weapons in the world. So this is also, it's great to see Obama working at the nuclear conference in South Korea, trying to reduce the number of nuclear weapons, but I think we had in the North Pacific Northwest have a lot to do with it. A lot of the plutonium that's probably sitting at Bangor came out of Hanford. This is one of the science factoids. We try to sprinkle the science throughout the exhibit if you had a chance to look at the exhibit. And I just want to remind people that the B reactor, the first large-scale reactor to go critical, produced the plutonium for the bomb that destroyed Nagasaki and killed over 40,000 people. So I think that's also to keep in the back of your mind. All right, well, this is our website, the Whamneck website. And that's a shot of the N reactor, one of the only reactors that produced plutonium as well as power. And Kennedy was out there introducing that reactor to everybody. But I urge you to check out that website, whamec.org. So I'm going to quickly just run through these slides to the Cafe Allegro. And just give you sort of a feeling for what it was. There's Sandy Hanks, who was Bill's sister. And this is some of the artwork you can see on the side of the wall there. Some more of the artwork. I always love looking at those pictures, think where we started from. So then it went to Richland Library. And this is Doug Gast, who did the tanks that are down there. When you walk in the exhibit hall, he was putting the tanks exhibit together there. It was really great that he put it up again this time. This is the library, some of the exhibits in the library. This is a placemat that was actually donated to the library. I wish we could have gotten our hands on that, but it went to the library. Some other pieces of some of the pictures of the area there. So we tried to integrate some of the history in there. So we really tried to give an overall picture of what Hanford was about. It's the atomic bomb, amazingly enough. That was a big secret until bombs destroyed Japan. And this is another one of our, where it went next to the coffee shop in Spokane. And then it went to Capitol Theater down in Olympia. It was a great exhibit at Capitol Theater. And this is a really fine painting that we used at some of the paintings and some of the science factoids. So you can see how we try to integrate the science in with the paintings and the poetry. And there's that great block. We unfortunately couldn't put that up here at the library because at the last minute things got changed around on us. This is at the Lacey Building in Olympia. This here on the side is, right here, is a hard hat, Bill Withrop's dad's hard hat, and the rolling pin that made cherry pies. And there's a very famous poem and some essay that Bill Withrop did about that. This is the crew. People studying the exhibit. I love watching people study the exhibit. So this was another, this is coming right up here. We're really thrilled to have it in the library here because it gave us more space. We've also collected some really interesting memorabilia with T-shirts, and we got some Geiger counters now. This is the tank farm, leaking tanks. These are all the leaking tanks at Hanford, which is a very serious matter. And the VIT plant, I don't know if anybody's following that, the vitrification plant that's supposed to solidify all that waste is running into big problems again. This is a desk. This is a desk from Bill Withrop's family on loan from Sandy and a chair. We're really thrilled to have that as part of the exhibit. I thought that was very fun that we could put that out at this exhibit. And we have a lot of great posters. There's one ticket to Wall Street. You have to remember that there's no capital markets will not support the building of nuclear reactors. And I just want to thank all the people that are involved in this. And Kathleen Flanagan, for example, has been a super supporter of this exhibit from the get-go.